being that situation where all the fans seem to want him back now. And they were a little sour the first time because of the way he left, but everyone has loved him since he came back the second time, and now all these Cavs fans want him back. Would that be an incentive to, one, obviously hang on to Kevin Love because of the connection that they have, maybe even longer than they think, and also maybe even reach on Bron in the draft, even if he isn't like the top 5 player that we would expect?
Well, you got a lot of fluidity in that question there. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts as far as that is concerned. Again, I don't know if I agree with your assessment that the entire Cleveland fan base wants him back. There certainly is a huge appreciation for what he did, and he wanted to bring a championship to Cleveland. He did that second time back. LeBron gets us to the finals 4 straight years against Golden State. But you talk to fans in the area, it certainly wasn't as messy and as angry a departure as it was the first time around. But you talk to fans now, and I think they look at this young core and they look at this young group that Kobe Altman and Mike Gansey and a sensational coaching job by JB Bickerstaff have been able to grow and cultivate. And I think there's a sense of, man, let's see what these guys can do. Let's add a couple of more parts. But we have those cornerstone pieces. So again, there's a lot of fluidity there, but I don't think it's a huge consensus that, if you were to bring someone like LeBron back, that would just be the overwhelming sentiment. I'm not sure that's the case.
Tim, you look at the NBA and how the game has transitioned. These players are making millions and millions of dollars. You have players opening their mouth like Kyrie Irving, throwing himself under the bus on and off the court, saying stupid things. And now you look at some of the young players that are coming into the league that are transitioning the game, making the game better, more fun to watch. When you look at the game and what the game was in the 90s and you look at the game now where you could barely put a finger on a player, do you like the way the game is transitioning into an offensive three-point game, or do you think that the game should predominantly move back to what it was in the 80s and 90s where it was more of an aggressive, face-to-face, I'm not your buddy type of team?
Yeah, there were some brawls back in the 80s and the 90s. That was a man's game back then. And I'm a little bit of an older guy. Yep. I know I'm a heck of a lot older than you two. So
I'm 40.
I used to,
so I'm not far off.
I used to enjoy those games. It's interesting. Sometimes as I'm calling games, I'm thinking, wow, how many 3 balls are they going to shoot here? I wonder if that'll be tweaked at some point. I know the analytics of it. Whether it's doing something with where the line is or how far the line is. You're right. Fans love offense, but do they love offense to the point where a team shoots 35% from 3 rather than 45 to 50% from 2? Do they pass up an easy layup to kick it back out only to see a 3-ball clang off the rim? So, I like the game back in the 80s and 90s. I'm not saying I don't like today's game because I do. I love it. But it's a 3-ball happy league, and it really rules the NBA right now. And I think the NBA, to their credit, is always willing to look at different avenues and different ways of improving the game and trying to, keep fan interest, make the game a better game. So I'm sure it's something that they're going to explore. I don't have any doubt about that.
So we're seeing a lot now with a lot of the teams that have won championships. A lot of them are building more homegrown and less of the big 3 superstars teaming up together that we saw. And we saw a lot of them crash and burn like the Lakers and the Nets this year. Do you think that kind of philosophy is going to be faded out of the league completely, or can you see it making a return where it becomes dominant again?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think teams have learned that you can do it organically. You can do it through the draft, through some shrewd free agent signings, that it doesn't necessarily have to be the way Miami did it a few years ago with LeBron and Bosh and Wade. You still need a nucleus. You still need, a big 2 or 3 to kind of lead the way. Usually it's 3. I mean, going back to the 80s and 90s that we just talked about, you talk about the Celtics, Bird, McHale, Parrish. I mean, those names just kind of roll off the tongue. You talk about the Lakers, Magic, Kareem, Worthy. Jordan certainly would have been the, not an example of that, but he was just this.
Even the Knicks in the 70s, you had Reed,
Right.
Reed DeBusschere, and Walt Frazier. Yeah, so.
Exactly. So, I mean, that the NBA is a stars league, but I do think that general managers and player personnel people are realizing you can build, and I think the Cavs are a good example of that. You can build from within. It doesn't necessarily have to be just open up the checkbook and go make it fantasy league basketball where you go out and just sign guys and try to build those teams through free agency. And I think LA is a great example of how that can go horribly wrong because, man, they were just a dysfunctional mess out there this season.
As everybody knows, we are talking to Cavaliers radio play-by-play broadcaster Tim Alcorn. Tim, I before we let you go, I know you're a music fan. Is there a particular artist that you like to listen to?
Wow, are you talking current? Are you talking
whatever?
Older? I mean, like I said, I'm an older guy.
I like old music too. I'm a DJ. I like music.
Yeah,
but
I did hundreds and hundreds of weddings and parties.
Yeah,
I did all that.
I couldn't see you listening to Lil Wayne, okay? Or Lil Baby. You listen to them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I'm in the older demos, so I'm a classic rock guy. I mean, I'm a Beatles fanatic. I just love the Beatles, the Stones, that type of classic rock. But I certainly listen to the newer stuff and DJ and all those weddings that I did. I had to learn all. I'm a huge Bruno Mars fan. I
really?
Think I think the talent level of that guy is just off.
What's your
chart.
favorite song by Bruno Mars?
Oh, wow. I mean, the first song that comes to your mind is Uptown Funk, but I don't necessarily. I think he kind of did some things that the remember the Time with the bird and all that. I can hear some of the Time in Bruno's song, but wow, you got me thinking. There's a lot of stuff of his that I really enjoy. I think Bruno's almost a throwback.
Oh, absolutely. Well, also I think the way he likes to bring back the 80s and his is more like 80s type of music. And even his new album that came out, I forget what the album's called, but it was very 80s-like. So I think his personality brings back the kind of music that we all love, the 80s, 90s type of music, the freestyle type of music that I've always followed and enjoyed listening. DKA and Lisa.
There you go.
So those are the type. But I ask you that question because I know I'm not going to ask you to sing on the show. I don't want to throw you under the bus. I won't do that. Even though I'm very good at doing that to other people we've had. We had other guests on the show, and I've kind of talked them into actually singing a song. I'm going to ask you 3 questions about your favorite artist, okay? Mm-hmm. And I want you to give me a straight answer about what you think the answers to those questions. Are you ready?
Okay. I think I'm wading into some dangerous water here, but go ahead.
So you said you're a Beatles fan, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So obviously there were 4 Beatles: Ringo, George, John, and Paul. Yes. Do you remember the first, the other Beatle before they threw him out of the group?
Well, there was actually a Beatle that passed. There was Stuart Sutcliffe.
Yes, but
Stuart Sutcliffe passed, and then Pete Best was the drummer.
Yes,
that was shown the door.
Yes, there you go. You were right.
And Ringo came on board.
All right, so you know your Beatles. I
do know my Beatles.
I got you over there. All right, Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars was supposed to be a part of a group before he went single. Do you know what group that was?
No, I don't. I have to confess, I don't.
Well, NSYNC was actually going to come back after Justin Timberlake left, and Bruno Mars was a guy that they brought in for auditions before they decided to not bring him in as the lead singer of the group.
I did not know that.
I'm going to throw you a curveball there, okay? And last question. Bruno Mars, he's been arrested 3 times in the past 3 years. Do you know what he was arrested for?
I don't. Do I want to know what he was? Do I want to know? Do your listeners and viewers want to know?
I don't think you. Well, it wasn't anything like it was obviously confiscating drugs across the border. So there you go. So listen. I'm just trying to see if you know you guys. I don't know.
I probably could have guessed at that and been correct.
Well,
so.
Bruno, I have a lot of respect for Bruno Mars too, because I actually met Bruno Mars at an event a couple of years ago. I'm a DJ, and I've done a lot of different entertaining events throughout the country and throughout New York State. So Bruno Mars was a very courteous and very nice guy when I met him. So I have nothing but my utmost respect for him. So. But we really
just an incredible talent.
Oh, absolutely,
incredible talent.
Absolutely. Him and Justin, believe it or not,
I'm a Justin Timberlake fan.
Justin Timberlake, Justin Bieber too, who right now is dealing with enough stuff of him. He's a talented artist too, who plays the guitar, plays the drums, plays the piano. I mean, guys like that, it's just hard to find, that kind of talent that could do all those unbelievable things. So, but we really appreciate you joining us. We're definitely going to get you on a lot sooner than later. I can't believe we waited this long to get you on. We not only respect you as a play-by-play analyst and a radio show play-by-play guy, but we respect who you are and what you've grown into as a leader of what the industry is transitioning into. So we really appreciate everything that you've done, not only coming on our show and giving us your time, but everything that you've done in this industry.
Oh, wow. Well, I appreciate that very much. I appreciate the compliment. And, I love what I do. I have a passion for it. I was honored last week that the Cleveland Guardians actually had me on doing some baseball.
Congratulations.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I got to go out on their West Coast swing and did 3 games in Colorado and 3 games at just the incredible Dodger Stadium, which was a real lifelong kind of dream come true for me. So, listen, I love sports broadcasting, and if there's anything I can ever do to help you guys or anybody, I'm going to do it. I've been there, done that, and I know what it's like. So as they say, pay it forward. So if you guys ever need a hand with anything, I'll be more than glad
I'll
to
hold
do
you
it.
up on that offer, man. So we'll definitely be in touch. We really respect you, and thank you for everything, even giving us the time. But we love you. We have so many different broadcasters on the show. And when Speedy told me that we were going to get you back on, I was like, we had a lot of fun the last time he was on. So we really appreciate it. You'll definitely hear from me soon. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. I love being on your show. So anytime you want to have me, send the invite, and I'll make sure to make it happen.
Thank you, Tim.